She's very good at what she does, covering the NFC North for the Fox Sports, and it's going to be an incredible pleasure to get a chance to talk to her. Her name is Carmen Vitali. Carmen, how you doing today?
Hi, Reggie. Good to talk to you.
Yes, absolutely. It's great to have you. I was racking my brain thinking, who could we talk to about the Green Bay Packers, what's happening there? And I was like, oh, well, I guess Carmen covers the North in its entirety. I always think about you covering the Bears, and can I start there real quick? Like, what is the decision-making metric, at least from where you stand, on obviously getting rid of Luke Getty makes sense, but keeping Mike or Eberflus as the head coach while you have to find a new offensive coordinator and possibly being what feels like a lame duck.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the cycle that the Bears can't seem to break out of over the last few years, dating back to 2017 when they drafted Mr. Trubisky in what ended up being John Fox's last year, and then you draft Justin Fields in what ended up being Matt Nagy's last year. So now you're looking at the first overall pick in a very unique situation where you actually have a good roster and you didn't actually warrant the first round pick. You got it in a trade. And now you're looking at drafting another quarterback into what could be Matt Eberflus's last year. The Bears are hoping that's not the case and hoping that whoever ends up under center, whether that's Justin Fields or it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, one of these quarterbacks in the draft, that they can get an offensive coordinator that can click with him immediately and lead this team into some relevancy in the NFC North, which is going to be that much harder of a division next year if all of the trajectories from the other teams keeps up.
Yeah, and I guess let's talk about that trajectory with these Green Bay Packers. This year was very much let's see if Jordan Love has a little something. And it feels like the definitive answer is yes. For those of us that maybe have not been able to keep a trained eye on this, like what has been the success of Jordan Love this season? How has he gotten to that place where you feel comfortable with him being the number one quarterback for the Green Bay Packers?
I said it way back when the season first started. Jordan Love was coming into not only what was a good situation on paper, it didn't quite end up as good as it was supposed to be, but he's had the benefit and he's more prepared for this starting role than 99% of quarterbacks in their first year starting, because he sat on the bench for 3 years and got to watch a quarterback, no matter what you think of him as a person, a quarterback that's one of the best players to ever do it, and learn from that. And so I heard quarterbacks coach Tom Clements, Green Bay Packers quarterbacks coach Tom Clements, say prior to the season and prior to Jordan Love starting, listen, over the last 3 years, I could lean over to Jordan at any time during a game while he was on the bench and say, what are we supposed to do here? What's the defense giving us? What would you do here? Yada, yada, yada. And Jordan would have the answers right away. So it was just a matter of him getting the reps and getting the experience, seeing it in live bullets, and then also learning his receivers, who are, by the way, also very young. They're first and second year guys. And then all of that building up the trust of Matt LaFleur enough so that Matt LaFleur can open up the playbook a little bit more, get creative like he can be, and trust everybody to kind of execute his vision. It's not a sexy reason, but it was just going to take a little bit of time. And the fact that it was able to click within a season, I cannot overstate how impressive that is.
Hey, Igor, it's Blake. So obviously most people have the Cowboys as favorites in this game. If you had to kind of take a Packers side of it, what would be their path to victory and how probable do you see that happening?
Honestly, the key for the Green Bay Packers in this game, I don't think has much to do with Jordan Love. I'm not worried about Jordan Love being able to go out there and deliver and score points. What I am worried about is the Green Bay defense giving up points. Mm-hmm. They seem to have found a little bit more of a pass rush over the last 2 games, 9 sacks in the final 2 games of the season to be exact, but that was against a Nick Mullins-led Vikings team. That was against the Chicago Bears. Now they're going to go up against one of the most productive and electric offenses in the postseason, and I'm quite frankly worried because CeeDee Lamb has had a target on his back all year, and yet he's still a top 5 receiver. He still manages to get open. The Cowboys do a really good job of moving him around and making it so that you can't stick with the same game plan against him throughout the game. They have answers to all of those things. They can stay 2 to 3 steps ahead with CeeDee Lamb. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so productive this year. Mm-hmm. And then, oh, by the way, he's got an MVP caliber quarterback that's leading this entire thing and probably the best season of his career. So it's going to come down to how much the defensive game plan can adjust to what the Cowboys end up doing on the field. And if I'm the Cowboys, I'm attacking the outside as much as possible. We now have a question mark on Jaire Alexander if he's even going to be available. There's already a rookie starting opposite him in that cornerback room. So attack the outside, and I think that the Cowboys have a pretty clear path to victory there.
Now, I mean, obviously, if these Cowboys end up attacking that defense, this offense is going to need to score points for the Packers. How viable is that, especially in a situation where you have Micah Parsons and that Cowboys pass rush bearing down on Jordan Love?
Yeah, Jordan Love, the Packers kind of figured out their offensive line combination. It was a little later in the season than we all had hoped, but they figured it out, and it is a good offensive line. Jordan Love also is very good at recognizing what he's looking at, recognizing pressure, recognizing the rush, and being able to bail out of it in certain ways. He can improvise, and that's kind of what makes him so dangerous, is that he can work in and out of structure. But at the same time, a guy like Dan Quinn, who has been in the league forever, has had a very effective defensive system for a very long time that has evolved as time has gone on. I fully expect him to utilize that secondary rotation that he likes to kind of do fun things with and switch up coverages and show Jordan Love something that he probably hasn't seen before because he's in his first year. And then that's not to mention the pass rush, which you were talking about, and moving Micah Parsons around and kind of forcing Jordan Love to second guess his checks and where he's setting his protections and everything like that based on where they can move Micah around. So it's going to be a challenge, but at the same time, Jordan Love has risen to these occasions. He's been able to pull Green Bay out of some holes. It's been a matter of the defense not being able to hang on to some of those leads, but it's going to be a dogfight. And these two teams have so much history that this is just going to be such a good matchup. It really doesn't get more football than this.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love seeing, especially during these NFL games, is looking at the receiver and defensive back matchup. So if you could key in for our listeners, I know some of them may not know, they don't have the most high profile guys with Jaden Reed and Wicks, and I believe it's the youngest offense, if I'm not mistaken, in the league. So what are some guys that the Cowboys and fans should be looking out for on that Packers offense, especially at the receiver spot?
Yeah, Jaden Reed, a rookie out of Michigan State, he is the one that leads the team in receiving yards right now. And I don't know that most people know that. But then at the same time, not only do they have these first and second year guys between him, Dontavian Wicks, we're going to see if Christian Watson can go, Romeo Doubs, both of those guys in their second year. They seem to have depth as well in these young guys, so much so that Christian Watson has been out, and you have a guy like Bo Melton just coming in and catching touchdown passes from Jordan Love. I don't know a single defense that was worried about Bo Melton before a game, before the last couple of weeks.
I think he was the first 100-yard receiver for y'all this year.
Yeah. And he had been mostly a special teams guy. He had been in and off the practice squad, all that kind of stuff. So they're getting production out of these young guys that are absolute no-names. I mean, even after the loss to the Packers, Bears safety Jaquan Brisker was like, I don't have respect for those guys. I'm like, well, you damn sure should, because they just beat the brakes off of you. And that's the thing, is these guys can surprise some people. That's not even counting the tight ends, too. And you have Luke Musgrave, who returned from that lacerated kidney last game. He's been working back into the rotation, but in his absence, Tucker Kraft, the other rookie, has been such a reliable target for Jordan Love as well. So these guys are going to surprise some people. You're probably not going to know their names if you're a Cowboys fan, but that doesn't mean that they're not effective, and that doesn't mean that they aren't playing well and very cohesively now down the stretch.
We're talking to Carmen Vitali. She covers the NFC North for Fox Sports. And Carmen, we've talked about this passing game and talking about the quarterback, talking about the receivers, but it seems like the most notable names on this team are the running backs. Talk about A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Like, what's going to be a reasonable expectation for the split in the way in which the Packers are going to try and attack this Cowboys defense?
Yeah, listen, you go and look, speaking of splits, you look at Aaron Jones' splits against Dallas, and they're very, very heavily in favor of Aaron Jones. And the fact that A.J. Dillon his status is questionable. He's about the only player other than Jaire Alexander that's kind of questionable for Sunday. But Aaron Jones has come back from injury the last month, and he has been heavily involved in this offensive game plan. And this offense is so much more complete. It can get so much more further into the game plan and into the playbook when he is on the field. And also, he's just a source of comfort for Jordan Love. Jordan Love knows that Aaron Jones can be effective, and he can rely on him not only handing the ball off, but catching those passes out of the backfield and getting those yards after the catch. Aaron Jones is so explosive. He's such an exciting player, even in his advanced running back age. And he's going to be a huge key for this offense to make sure that they can get to everything they want to get to and have every play available to them and be as creative as they want to be against a team that they're going to need it against.
I asked Vach, our guest earlier, the same question. I want to know your thoughts on this. What is going to be your kind of weekend viewing experience for watching this wild card weekend? How excited are you? What game are you looking most forward to? You got a little setup. You going out? What's the plan for watching these exciting playoff matchups?
Well, I will be in Dallas for the game, so
Okay.
I will be in the press box.
Okay, see you there.
I know. I've never been to AT&T Stadium. I've heard so many wonderful things about
Great
the press
food.
box
Yep.
spread.
That was you're going in eat well.
Listen, my expectations are sky high, so I expect Dallas to deliver on that.
I'll show you around the buffet.
Okay, sounds great. I am going to try as soon as possible to get out of that game and get my stuff done because I do want to catch the Lions and the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I've been previewing that game all week as well, and it's just the script writers were in their bag, man.
Yep.
This wild card round, and I can't imagine that game is going to disappoint with Matthew Stafford coming back into the building. He was supposed to deliver a playoff game too. It's incredible, and I love it for the city of Detroit. The Lions are such a fun team, and I do hope that they continue to go pretty far in this postseason because they deserve it.
Carmen, before we let you go, I know you have a history with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they will be hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, how viable is it that the Buccaneers do the funniest thing possible for Dallas Cowboys fans?
It is, honestly, because they do have the benefit of playing at home. That obviously matters. The fact that Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown a pass since Sunday is very concerning. A.J. Brown, the Eagles are just completely imploding, and they've been imploding for the last couple of weeks. Meanwhile, the Bucs, I think, have found their stride a little bit more. It was a little bit of a dogfight to win that division over the Saints. It shouldn't have come down to that. I totally get that. But that is one of those rivalry games that just can go either way. The Saints have always had the Bucs number. I worked for them for 6 years. The Saints were public enemy number one. But at the same time, in the way that I was talking about Dan Quinn being able to switch things up and show you some new things that maybe you haven't seen out of him before, that's something that Todd Bowles does very, very well. And that's exactly what he's going to go after. It's really hard to play him twice. And he's going to have some new wrinkles in there defensively. And it's just going to kind of hinge on how effective Baker can be and if he can rise to the occasion. But what we've seen from Baker Mayfield is that the bigger chip you give him, the better he plays. So he has that motivation. And I'm looking forward to that game entirely because I really think that the Bucs can pull off kind of the unthinkable, even though they're the higher seeded team.
Carmen, we appreciate you so much. And one thing I would like to schedule in this situation, our friend here, Blake Elliott, who is going to be in that press box. We're going to make him your personal valet. We're going to make sure that you get a great spread.
Oh, I got you.
We're going to make sure you're taken care of.
Everything.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. I'll have an escort in the press box.
Absolutely. Carmen Vitali, Fox Sports, covers the NFC North and is always a fun chat. We appreciate you, Carmen.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. I'll see you on Sunday, Blake.
See you Sunday.